Hey guys, sorry that it's so dark in here. It is literally only like, let's see, 3:23, and it is so dark and so dreary and rainy, but it is what it is. Yeah, also I have pink hair now. That is all thanks to you guys over on Instagram and Twitter. I wanted to dye my hair. I had red and purple and I had ginger, and I was like, should I make pink hair or should I make red hair? And people were, or ginger hair, and people said pink over ginger, so that's what happened. The hair is pink now, but it's the last bit of my dye, so like it's gonna wash out and I'll have any to replace it. So this video is going to be a few updates as well as a Q&A. Kind of a chill video, wearing my jammies. Also, this is my merch. I literally wear this like around the house. It's so comfy and I wear it to bed. I've had it out for a long time. It's literally all of my leopard gecko's faces except Mira, Roz, Viserion, and Egret, because I got them this year and this is from last year. So all their faces. This was made by What the Hecko You're a Gecko on Instagram. So be sure to go thank her if you get one of these because she made it. So my dog is like literally putting his face on my knee right now, trying to get the cuddles because he's upset. Whenever I put makeup on, he thinks I'm leaving the house or like I'm going to film, which is pretty much the only time I wear makeup. So he gets like real sensitive. Oh, you can see my laundry, my rat laundry in the back too. Wow, this is a great shot. Hi, Zach. Like I said, this is going to be a more chill video. It's just some updates and Q&A. I asked you guys questions on Instagram, so if you guys didn't get to ask a question and you'd like me to answer one of your questions in the future, you should definitely go follow me over on Instagram. So the first thing I want to do is address some updates, and I have them all written down. This is my fiance's iPad because I'm using my phone to film because I'm broke and can't afford a camera. So some of the updates that I want to address are Rue, my firebelly toads. Also, my lizard is staring at me. He's got like a big head and it's kind of scary. Anyways, so my firebelly toads, Rue, my crested gecko, and then some other things. So we'll start out with Rue. Rue is a crested gecko. I'll put a picture of her here. I was supposed to get her at the end of summer going into fall, but the temperatures were still too hot and then it got too cold too fast, which is very common in Indiana. And then when it was an okay temperature to ship with a heat pack, the person that I am getting her from has been waiting on heat packs for weeks and weeks, and like they have sent her some and then they never came. They canceled the delivery and then sent her new ones and those never came. It's completely ridiculous, but of course this would happen. Happens to anybody, so I just have to wait for her until spring now because now that it's winter it's too cold to ship her, and we would definitely rather be safe than sorry. So Rue and her setup and everything still happening. I just haven't gotten her yet. I don't want anyone to have any confusion there. And regarding the firebelly toads, the Bombina variegata, the yellow firebelly toads that I announced on a live stream that I was getting a few weeks back from Josh's Frogs, I am going to get them still. They're already mine, reserved, paid for, but I can't get them until spring due to shipping. So another I have to wait for. A couple more updates. I have Christmas merch coming and it's beautiful. I've seen one of the designs so far because I paid for them, so I'm waiting for them to be, you know, made. I'll include the artists like when it comes out and I'll show off the designs and everything, but like I'm just so excited. So excited. So one design is going to have Renly, another design is going to have Nova the bearded dragon, and a final design will have my two rats, Finn and Remy. So there's a little something for everyone. If you don't like leopard geckos, maybe you like rats or a bearded dragon, you know? Each design is different. They're all going to be offered on mugs, they're going to be offered on shirts, they're going to be offered on posters, whatever you want, and it'll be in my merch shop over on Teespring, and I'll include that link below like I always do in case you're interested in this. But that Christmas merch will not be coming out until like a week from now. So when you guys see this, it'll be just a few days. Another update is that my fiance tried to break my foot. Not on purpose, obviously. We were tugging on something, he was playing around, he fell out of his chair and fell onto my foot, and my toes bent backwards against the surface of my foot. It's something I've been talking about on Instagram, so I thought it'd be just fun to update it here, but man, does it hurt. It's been a whole week now and it's still not healed. It's still very painful. It's still swollen and it's still bruised, so that's what I got going on over here. I have two more updates before we get to the Q&A section of this video. I don't know why I stumbled. I was like, question? I have 2 more updates before we get to the Q&A section of this video. One of the updates is that I have completely overhauled my dubia roach colony, cleaned it all out, separated them. Oh my god, I have too many dubia roaches. If you live in the northern Indiana area and you're looking to start a dubia colony of your own and need like some adults and some nymphs and all the way in between, like all the ages and sizes, please contact me because I have too many. You can send me a message on Instagram or shoot me an email at jessicasanimalfriends@yahoo.com. I hate how many I have. They're just so much to manage right now. I mean, I have like hundreds and hundreds and I don't even know, thousands probably. There's so many. I also have the mealworm colony that I'm looking to overhaul, and I'm going to record all of this. So in the coming weeks, be on the lookout for mealworm breeding and keeping and dubia mealworm and breeding. Now, the very last update is an exciting one. So I don't want to say anything because like I might jinx it and then it might not happen, because I've done this in the past. Like last year when I thought I was getting a cave gecko and I told everyone I was getting a cave gecko, and then the people bailed on me like a month and a half in. I mean, it's all fine and well now because I have a cave gecko, but you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself like I did last time, but I'll do it anyway. So I have had like a dream pet. So like Nymeria the cave gecko was one of my dream pets. I was determined and destined to find one. I know I needed one. Like, it was something that I just had to have. Like, I was so interested in this species. I was so interested in like how to keep them and what they looked like. And there's another species that I have felt very similarly about. That is a reptile. I won't say what it is, but you can take some guesses down below. You can take some guesses on Instagram or Twitter. I haven't said anywhere yet, except if you are a patron on Patreon, I am announcing it today. So by the time this video goes up, you will have already seen it and you'll already be excited just like me. So if you are on Patreon, go ahead over and check if you haven't. And if you want to know and you want to be a supporter on Patreon, all you have to do is click the link down below, and literally $1 is the minimum. Like, you can choose any price you want. It always goes back into taking care of the animals, whether I'm buying feeders or whether I'm buying supply or decor. So it's definitely appreciated, and I thank you in advance if you decide to do that, or if you already are one. Now let's get to the Q&A, because that's all of the updates. So I have, oh my god, there's a lot of questions. Let me scroll through them to get to the bottom ones first. So one person, I don't want to read any names because like these are anonymous on Instagram, so I don't know if like someone's gonna ask them they don't want me to read their name for, so I'm not gonna read names. I hope that doesn't upset anyone. What is it like taking care of enigmas and other problematic morphs? Stressful, but incredibly rewarding, and I would not change it for anything. If your Q&A is not going to be animal related, oh, it doesn't matter, you can ask me any questions, animal or not. How did you meet your boyfriend? So my fiance and I have been engaged for 3 years, but we've known each other for like a decade. We met when we were in high school, so we've known each other a long time. I knew I was gonna get questions like this. If you could change 3 things about the reptile community, what would they be? I would wish there is a focus on education rather than just entertainment and clickbait or shock value. I would change the ages of a lot of people who are out on the platform. I think that the platform is full of very young people, which is great, but I think that there should also be some older people, older than me even, to balance that out. And third thing, I wish everyone was a bit more reasonable. I wish everyone was reasonable in responding to people. I wish everyone was more reasonable in asking questions. I wish everyone was more reasonable in the way they interacted with their animals, in the way that they conducted their research. I don't know, I just feel like common sense and being reasonable aren't things that you can find a lot nowadays. So, and that's not just in one community, that's in all over, that's everybody. But that's what I would hope for. Did you know that the name Jessica was invented by William Shakespeare for one of his plays? I actually did know that, and I got so excited when I saw this question because I've literally told people that and they're like, cool, like they don't care, but I'm like, it's neat. So yes, I did know that, and thank you for asking because that's really cool. Do the acrylic doors on your enclosures come off completely, or are there hinges? So let's just use the bookshelf right here as an example. This is Egret's bookshelf. There you go. That's it. And then you just put it right back in. Make sure it like meets the little divots at the bottom. Push it in. Make sure these are turned inwards and they can't push it out. So very, very easy. Slides right out. I find that it's easier with this bookshelf than that bookshelf. These are nicer though, that's why. Do you remember me from your live stream a few weeks ago? Yes, Pumpkin Pie Mother Expletive. You have one of the most creative names I've ever seen, and it would be hard to forget. Hello, what is the reptile that you would like to have? Your dream reptile. I feel like if I say it, then what I said earlier in the video is going to be obvious that that's what I'm getting. It rhymes with Schmed, Schmai, Schmuckamile, Schmink. What do you think about tegus? In your opinion, do they make good pets? I have no idea because I've never kept a tegu, and I wouldn't even know like where to begin. I have not done enough research, so I couldn't even start to answer that question. They're definitely a species of big lizard that I'd be interested in. I'm not as interested in like monitors as other people. I think tegus are what I'd be more interested in keeping, but I'd have to do like buttloads more research, and I'm nowhere near ready for a tegu anyway because I don't have the space. What is the best and worst part about owning reptiles? I don't think there is really a worst part. I don't know, I really love having reptiles. I'd say the community at times can be the worst part. If you choose to have reptiles and not share them with anyone, I don't think you're gonna have any negative experiences aside from like the normal scary things that every reptile or pet owner goes through, you know, like sometimes you'll have scares or like there'll be medical emergencies where I have to take them to the vet and things like that, but that's gonna happen with any animal aside from just keeping reptiles. So I don't think that there is really a worst part. I really love having reptiles. What motivated you to start rescuing reptiles, and do you think you'll ever regret it? I'll never regret it. It has been one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life. And what motivated me to start would be Instagram, actually. I had seen leopard geckos on Instagram. This person, I don't know like what their real name is. They're no longer on Instagram. They were on Instagram very briefly, but I followed them and they had a large following that took really nice pictures, and so I think that's why. You know, they had a couple of special needs leopard geckos. One was like missing a bunch of toes from stuck shed, and the other one had like some facial deformities. And I think their names were like Meeps and Toes or something like that. That person gained like quite a bit of following, and then they briefly opened a Happy Gecko Rescue, and they adopted out like a handful of leopard geckos, like maybe 12. And the first time I was ever actually introduced to Enigma syndrome was through a gecko that was being adopted out of there. I don't remember if it was strictly Enigma syndrome or if it was just like a neurological disorder, but I feel like I was familiar with Enigma syndrome or like maybe a neurological disorder because of that. And I adopted Fritz from that person, and then they pretty much disappeared off of social media after like a few weeks after I got Fritz, and I've never seen them since. I've never talked to them since. I have no idea what happened. They disappeared, and that person, you know, I owe a great credit to when it comes to leopard geckos, because Fritz was the first leopard gecko that I ever got, and ever since him I have now acquired 22. I say 22 because one's Aaron, so I have 24 leopard geckos and one of them's Aaron, so I've acquired 22 since Fritz. And I can never thank that person. I have no idea who that person is, and the email that like I had to contact them before like is no longer being used, so I can't even do that. So they've literally just disappeared. I have no idea who they are, which really stinks. I credit that person for inspiring my love for leopard geckos. I actually didn't like leopard geckos until I saw this person's account and like taking pictures of them and like showing off that, you know, they have like disabilities and like they're unique and they look different from one another, and I had just never seen them portrayed in such a way. Like I had always seen them at pet stores looking real sickly and underweight and stuff, so I really have to thank that person, but I can't, and that stinks. I would not be where I am today without that inspiration. And then also after I got Fritz, I kept my Instagram obviously, and I connected with other people in the community, people that I'm still friends with and admire to this day, and they have like kind of opened doors for me in terms of getting geckos with disabilities or Enigma syndrome or anything like that. They're really what got me into like taking in special needs and rescuing, and yeah, I owe all of them a great debt and I would never go back. I absolutely love what I've created and I've found such satisfaction and fulfillment in having them. Yeah, I don't regret it at all, and I don't think I will. What's your least favorite thing about owning so many animals? I think that my least favorite thing would have to be, one, the amount of space they take up, only because I would love to have more, but I'm full out of space. That wouldn't be like more of like a complaint than like a least favorite thing. I think I also really hate the idea that like I'm a weirdo, or maybe I'm a hoarder or something like that because I have so many, or because they're weird species. I think that the tides are changing in terms of that, but I can definitely get weird judgments from old people, like people who are in their 40s or 30s or 50s or older. Sometimes they can be like, you keep reptiles? Like, what do you care about geckos so much for? Like, reptiles don't have emotions. Why wouldn't you want like a dog? I don't have a dog, but you know, they don't understand that they are just as fulfilling a pet or species to have in your life as a dog or a cat can be. I don't know. So I think that the stereotypes surrounding having exotics is my least favorite thing about having so many, because people are just like, you know, you're a weirdo. And then also the idea of like being potentially labeled a hoarder for the number I have, that bothers me beyond words, but we're not going to talk about that today. Most expensive thing that you've done in the pet room, or like animal wise? The gecko bookshelves altogether cost me like $1,000, so that's the most expensive I've done yet. And I know people have like spent so much more, but like I can't buy custom enclosures, I have to make them because I didn't have the coin, you know. I'm a broke person compared to some other people, you know. I got college debt to pay back and stuff, so I could only put out $1,000, but that's a lot to me. Like $1,000 is a lot of money. So yeah, gecko bookshelves altogether cost $1,000. I think that's the most I've put into like my animals at one time. What's your favorite gecko? I'm not sure if they mean like favorite species of gecko or if they mean like favorite gecko in the house. I will not pick favorites of my own pets. I don't think that's fair. Just like I would hope that parents wouldn't pick their favorite child. I think that's kind of messed up. But if you mean favorite species of gecko, I love leopard geckos. I love Chinese cave geckos. And I would really love to get to interact with banded geckos, with knobtail geckos, with pictus geckos. Like, I really like geckos. Lychees. People might be like, why didn't she name her crested gecko or her African fat-tailed gecko? They're just not my favorite compared to like leopard geckos are so personable. My Chinese cave gecko is so unique looking, and I love how she climbs and just looks like she wouldn't be a climber because she's not like a crested gecko, but all of a sudden she's like, I'm just kidding, I'm climbing. So yeah, I think that those are my favorite. Oh, gargoyle geckos are so cool looking too. My fiance has a gargoyle gecko named Genova. She's up there. She's really cool looking, but she's also not very nice. Who takes care of your animals when you and your fiance go on a vacation? We don't go on vacation. That's really the short answer. If we go on vacation, we cannot leave for more than 2 or 3 days. Because there are so many animals to take care of, and also I'm a homebody. I don't really like vacations. I find them stressful. I don't like being in places I'm unfamiliar with. I'm a little Hufflepuff. I like to stay in my little ground hole, okay? In my little little hole, just be nice and warm and fed. Like, I'm not like an adventurer type of person. My fiance is. He probably gets a little annoyed that we can't like explore and adventure more and do more things. But I don't know, I really just like home base. Like, I think that this is like the best place. Like, I don't know, my mind is like my vacation. Like, you know how some people are just like, they want to go out in the world and see things, and then some people are just like, all I need to do is like read a book or watch a movie or just like be introspective, like, and that's how you can have your vacation. I think that I have much more rewarding experiences from those things than going out for like 5 to 7 days or 2 weeks or whatever. I find those exhausting. The last time I took a vacation, it was not this year but last year, so it was 2017. I was gone for 5 days. My fiance stayed home and took care of the animals because it was like me and my family went. I did not enjoy myself, and I did not go the next year. like, I don't like it. I get too stressed. I don't like being in unfamiliar places. I don't like not having like my comfort food and comfort blankets and like things that I'm familiar with. I don't know. Is that just me? I don't know, maybe that's weird. But like a couple times a year, we'll go on short trips. And for those, like, all I do is when I leave, I make sure everybody's fed, everybody's taken care of. And then I'm only gone for like a whole night, because then the next day when I come back, I can just take care of them again. So really, they're all like ready to go. And if like the rats were to need food or something, I could just have someone leave food in there or leave something in there for them. So if we just go like for a 2-day trip or a 3-day trip, it's a lot easier than going on like a full vacation, and it's nicer for me because then I don't have to be like out of my comfort zone very much. That probably just made me sound so boring, and it's true, I am very boring. What's your favorite morph? What's your dream animal, and when did you start owning pets? Okay, so the dream animal, I think I addressed already. It rhymes with Shmed, Shmai, Schmackamile, Schmink. And what's my favorite morph of what? I think they mean leopard gecko. I'll say I have like a lot of morphs that I like and a lot of morphs I don't like. I think a lot of morphs are beautiful, like Enigma for example is beautiful, but there's problems with the morph due to the neurological disorder that's associated with it. Lemon Frost is gorgeous, but the tumors. White and yellow can be problematic as well, you know? There's a lot of pretty morphs that are nice, but like they're problematic. And I also don't like the idea of like liking a morph, because then it's like you're drawing a lot of attention to a certain morph that people are going to produce and produce and produce to make money. And there's going to be so many normal morphs. For example, if you look at leopard geckos or if you look at ball pythons, the market is saturated with them because there's just so many normals. There's so many regular morphs that like nobody's interested in owning anymore. So all those animals like don't get homes. They just stay in shelters, or they just like, you know, are sold really cheaply in pet stores. And it just really disheartens me. So like I have a problem saying like I have a favorite morph, because like if you pick something really expensive and flashy, then it's just going to perpetuate the problem that we already have with the unappealing morphs being like left behind in the dust basically, or seen as lesser value or seen as a lesser being. Like, can you imagine that if like someone took a leopard gecko that was a normal and a leopard gecko that was like, let's say like a black knight or a black pearl or whatever, and was like, this one doesn't deserve to live or deserve to have love or happiness, or this one doesn't deserve to have like a certified good home because it's not as pretty. And that's basically what happens, is because a lot of them, you know, they're sent to pet stores because they're not pretty enough. They're sent to you know, they go home with kids, and then maybe the kid doesn't want them anymore, ends up at a shelter, ends up not taken care of. I don't know. See, I'm going off on a rant. I didn't mean to do that. I do that sometimes. But I just have a problem picking something that's like flashy. You know, they're an animal. They're not a purse or shoes or a pair of clothes or a house. You know, they're a living thing. I have a problem supporting the idea that like one morph or breed is just like more important because it looks better. Like, I don't know, it bothers me. So I would say that my favorite morph is something that's easy to come by. A tangerine, a Max Snow, something like that. And not to mention, tangs and Max Snows, you can do a lot with them and they're still really beautiful. Like, you're still gonna get a gecko that's like really healthy, there's no problems with the genetics usually, and they look great, and so as unproblematic as it can get, that's what I choose. Oh, and when did I start owning pets? I adopted 3 female rats in, what was it? March? April? Yeah, they were born in August and I got them in April. So they were born in August of 2012 and I got them in April of 2013. And I have been acquiring new animal friends to the family ever since. And the family really kicked off with Penny, Lily, and Cookie, and that's why there's photos of them you can't see, but they're up there. And they have like a painting up here too that they did with their own little feet. Thinking about them kind of makes me sad sometimes, so I'm sorry if like I seem like I'm about to like well up or something, but I credit a lot of like what I have today to having adopted them back then. They reinvigorated this passion I didn't know that I had for animals. Like, I knew I always loved animals, but like as a teen I was like focused on like homework and boys and school and blah, 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 like teenagers are, and I had like gotten away from the fact that I had loved animals so much. And then so when I decided to adopt rats, I found that passion all over again, and so I'm really thankful to them, although they're no longer here. As you can see, my voice starting to crack. We're not gonna cry. Okay, great. I'm really thankful to them for having let me find that passion again. Moving on Out of which of your animals is your favorite to handle? It's a good question. Renly's really easy to handle. I like her. Tormund's great because she's really energetic. Viserion is great to handle because he gives me a run for my money. Let's see. I don't like handling Ree because she sometimes bites and she doesn't let you know when she's gonna do it. She just does it. I like handling my bearded dragons too. They're a lot of fun. I like heavy pets. So I like handling rats rather than like a hamster. And I like handling, I like handling heavy lizards too. Like Nova is a chubby little girl and I like feeling the weight of her in my hand. Tell me about your future sanctuary goals. I would absolutely love to have a sanctuary that is literally my whole house. Like I want to buy a house and I also want to have land. And I want that entire thing to be filled with animals that need sanctuary, whether it be special needs animals or rescued animals or adopted animals, all of them. Like I don't just want lizards or amphibians or rats or dogs. We want a bird, we want horses. My fiance wants sugar gliders so bad. So I just want to be able to expand this. And I would love to be a 501c3 recognized sanctuary. I would love to be like a place people could come visit, even like a small groups or something, or like if people are seeking animals for like therapy reasons, or if people wanted to volunteer. Like I would love to be able to turn something this small, I mean it's not small right now, don't get me wrong, but something that is this small into something much bigger. There's nothing really like that in Indiana. Animals are kind of seen differently in Indiana than other places. There's a lot of hunting here, a lot of fishing, there's a lot of farming, but there's not like a lot of animal sanctuaries, except Black Pine Animal Sanctuary, which is this way, that way on the map. It's not near me, it's like a good 2.5 hours away. But there's like nothing where people can like have hands-on experience with reptiles. There's like zoos, and the zoo isn't that great around here. I mean, there's like nothing that actually can teach people how to properly keep animals. We have crappy, chain pet stores. So I would love to have that ability to be able to educate the public, to be able to let them interact with animals, and to have like volunteer programs, and to have healing services for people with PTSD or people with developmental disabilities, to be able to use animals as a healing tool. I think that animals have such amazing properties when it comes to that, because you can connect with them in a way you can't connect with people. So thank you for that question. But that's what I would love to do. It is definitely a goal of mine to one day turn this into a like full-blown sanctuary operation with all kinds of animals. My bangs are doing something ridiculous right now. What the heck? It's because I dyed my hair yesterday and they got all floofy weird. Oh my god. If money was no limit, would you change any part of your animal husbandry? I think that space is more inhibiting to me than money. I love my gecko bookshelves, but I think that it'd be really neat to have like a nicer looking setup. I've seen some really nice like enclosures that people have that are like those custom like built enclosures that are sent to them. Those are really nice. But I'm proud of what I have right now. I'm not like too upset about it. I think that it'd be nice to have like a better rack, which I am actually upgrading soon. I just have to get the money for it. I think that I would like to have, yeah, I don't think money is an inhibitor so much. I think that it really is more space. I think that I'm confined to a lot of space. I typically don't get an animal unless I have the space for it. So like the minimum requirements for an animal I always go past because I believe that you should. And so I would have a lot more space if I just chose the minimum requirements and had just like a bunch of 10 gallons sitting around for my leopard geckos, but I believe that they deserve more than that, so I gave them more than that. So if I had more space, I'd be able to have even more space for the animals I currently have, and I'd be able to dedicate myself to species that I want to keep right now but can't. There's actually quite a few species on my list that I know that I don't have the space for, so just kind of have to wait until I have more space. So no, I don't think that money is so much an inhibiting factor as space is, but you need money to buy more space. So that's, I guess it does come back to money. Taming for our leopard gecko, what would you recommend? I'm gonna leave a video right here. I'm also gonna leave it in the links below if I remember, but it should be up here for sure. I have 2 videos in my leopard gecko care playlist about how to handle your leopard gecko and get it used to you. I suggest that you follow what I say in those videos, and I hope that it helps. Will you ever consider getting a snake? Potentially, if it's a situ of adoption, rescue, or like surrender due to it being pet only, and it'd have to be egg eating. It cannot eat mice. I refuse to feed mice and rats and other animals to snakes. I know snakes have to eat, and it's nothing against them. I love snakes, but I personally don't have like the heart to do it because I have pet rats over there, and I could not look at like a dead rat's body. Like I couldn't do it. Like it's physically not possible for me. Are you interested in owning any other types of pets besides the ones you have now? Love you. I love you too. And yes, there are, well, my schmakamal schmink, that new species of lizard is what I'm looking to get. And what else? Oh yeah, there's like species of geckos I'd love to own. It all really just depends on what I see first, because a lot of them come from Craigslist. So like, I've wanted different species, but I just haven't come across them on Craigslist. So I would love to get a banded gecko. Knobtail gecko would be great. I think that holly and moon crabs are really cool, but you know, they're wild caught, so I have issue with that. But if they're like from a situ of adoption or rehoming, you know, then it's something that's more possible. It just depends on what pops up, you know, that I'm interested in. I have like a little list on my computer of all the species that I've done research for, and I update it every like so often periodically to make sure that the information isn't out of date, and also because I know I tend to learn things from all of you wonderful people in the community who keep different types of species than I do. So yeah, there's definitely other animals that I'd like to have besides what I have right now. I just have to, you know, wait for them to come up, and I have to make sure I have the space for them. What is your favorite morph of leopard gecko? I think I already answered that. What other places have you lived at other than Indiana? So I was born in New Jersey, and I lived there for 12 years, and then I moved to Indiana, and I've lived here ever since. So only New Jersey. So focusing on positive vibes. Thank you. Let's focus on the positive. There's been a lot of negative lately. What is your favorite part about being a pet YouTuber? Interacting with people in the comments has been really great. I've always loved like putting together videos and editing and things like that. I've actually did a little bit of that for college. I thought that was really fun, and I was actually cringe a YouTuber back in 2012. Cringe again. What the heck, Bangs? Can you pull it together, please? But yeah, so I have always liked editing videos, so that's been fun to do that again. I also like scripting videos. Oh my god, do I love scripting videos. But that comes from my love of writing, because I've loved writing for a long time too. And my favorite thing I really like to post are care videos. I think that I don't want to sound like boasty or braggy, but I have not seen anybody upload as in-depth or as lengthy care videos that I have done. So I really enjoy that, because then it makes me a little bit different from everybody else. I think that everybody needs to have like that one thing that makes them different. And you know, I can't say like having this many leopard geckos makes me different, because tons of people have leopard geckos. There's literally a channel called Leopard Gecko Talk, like, so that doesn't make me different. So I think that, you know, my extensive care videos about different species that I keep, that makes me a little bit different and makes my impact in this community a little bit stronger than if I were to not have put those videos out. But yeah, I love interacting with people in the comments. I have learned a lot from people in the comments, and I've learned a lot from people on Instagram, so interacting with people has been really, really great. How are you? I'm great, thank you for asking. I'm a little tired, and I have to go watch a football game here, and like, oh, football game just started, and this video is 40 minutes long. Great, okay, well, we're gonna keep going. If you were a leopard gecko morph, what would you be? I'd probably be a Blizzard or a Diablo Blanco, something that's really white, because I'm so very pale. And I'm also kind of moody, and they can be moody. So I think that's what I'd be. That's a really interesting question. Thank you for that. Is being a pet YouTuber or animal YouTuber easy? It can be. If you choose to go about it in a way that's really ethical, it's very easy. You know, if you approach posting content on YouTube with genuine passion and also with honesty and openness, then it's very easy. So, you know, I've admitted to mistakes that I've made, and like including, you know, when I took Aria to the vet, I had left her nasal plug in there all that time thinking that it was just the shape of her nostril and didn't know. So I mean, that's obviously a mistake that I made, but of course I corrected it, and I shared it on this platform to help people who may end up in similar situations. I think that nobody is perfect when it comes to pet keeping, and the very best thing that you can do is be open and honest, and you know, let people into your animal keeping life a bit, you know. Don't just, you know, post videos that seems like you're trying to hide something or seems secretive. You know, maybe if you're afraid of like what the internet is going to say, yes, the internet can be a very interesting place. And I have a very small channel, so I've only felt that on a very small scale. But if you approach like posting videos about your animals on YouTube in a way that shows that you're genuine and kind, and shows that you are very passionate, and shows that you are focused on the ethics of animal keeping, like, you know, you're always trying to keep up with good morals and good standards and things like that, and if you're very honest about any mistakes that you've made or anything like that so that other people can learn from them, I think that it makes it very easy to be in the community. But if you try and conceal anything you might have done wrong, or leave things out, or if you, you know, unintentionally or intentionally encourage, you know, spending a lot of money on like really expensive designers, or if you accidentally encourage like impulse buying, or even purposely encourage impulse buying, I think it can make it difficult because you're going to face a lot of criticism that way, and criticism is probably one of the hardest things about the internet, no matter what community you're in, no matter where you are on the internet. You know, people have opinions, and sharing them on the internet is very easy because you can just type away and click. You don't actually have to look at that person's face. You don't actually have to take the time out of your day to like sit down and explain to them what you mean. You can just leave one comment and never go back to it. It's not a conversation, it's just your opinion out there, and that's that. So that can make it difficult, especially when it comes to pet keeping, because people are very passionate about pet keeping, which is a good thing. I love being on YouTube with my animals. I love being on Instagram with my animals, and I've been doing it since 2014, and I wouldn't change anything. I just think that for anyone who's looking to get into the community, the best thing you can do is be genuine, passionate, honest, and ethical, moral, that sort of thing. If you could live in any state or any country, which would you choose? I think that I wouldn't move at all, which sounds like really boring. I would love to visit other places. Like, I've always wanted to visit Australia. I've always wanted to visit Canada. I've always wanted to visit Ireland. But the reason that I would stay right here where I live is because it's very safe. Like, we don't have wildfires. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have flooding. We don't have tropical storms. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have anything. We're like literally just on the very, very edge of like the tornado belt or whatever it's called, Tornado Valley, and I've never had like one anywhere near me. Like, I've had one like maybe in 10 years be like a few miles away from me, like 10 miles or so, and it's very minor. But even so, we don't really have a lot of concerns where other states do. So like, you know, there's no mudslides, there's not a lot of like flooding or anything like that. So in terms of like keeping animals and like having a house and things like that, I choose where it's safe, you know, like I would choose to stay where it's safe just for the sake of them and for the sake of me. But accidents can happen anywhere, house fires can happen anywhere. You know, we can have a bad winter storm, we could lose power, that kind of stuff could happen. But in general, I think that, you know, we face a lot less issues, you know, aside from the drug epidemic and serial killers that are all over the Midwest. But fortunately, that doesn't really affect the animals. So that's why I would choose to stay in Indiana. How to breed dibby roaches, video coming soon. Do you and your fiance have any idea of when you are getting married, or are you waiting? So we've been engaged for 3 years this month, actually, and I think I'm gonna tell my engagement story on my second channel because it's just really sweet and it makes me happy to think about, so I think I want to talk about it. But we are in no rush to get married. We do not agree with the conventional ideals that surround marriage, you know, like some people, when they think of marriage, especially like in the United States, I feel like we are a little bit slower than other countries in the world when it comes to like evolving. But sometimes I think that people can think of, you know, the dutiful wife and the husband who's out working and making money for the home, while the dutiful wife is making the home and having the children and making sure everything is, you know, clean and tidy. And while we have come a long way in getting those ideals tossed out, you know, there's no religious basis for us to get married. Neither of us are religious, and therefore we don't see like, you know, in God's eyes we should be married. Neither of us want children, so there's no reason to get married there. And also, we are not looking at marriage as like, oh, a legal document, yay, let's go sign that right away. Like, we love each other as human beings on a very basic level. There's no expectations from one another about like what our roles are, you know, like dutiful wife and working husband, or great mother, great father. Like, we don't have expectations of one another. We literally just go together. It's kind of hard to explain, but like, we're not in a rush to get married because we know that like we love each other and we're not going anywhere. Like I said, I've known him for like 10 years now, and we've, you know, gone through a lot in those 10 years to get to like this complacency and friendship and companionship that we have now with one another. And I know he always has my back, and he knows that I always have his back, and that we both have each other's best interests at heart always, and that I wouldn't make a decision that would compromise him, and he wouldn't make a decision that would compromise me. I think it's really hard in life to find someone that you can like be parallel with when it comes to that, because some people, you know, someone might be more loyal than someone else, your interests might differ, you know, we have very similar common life goals. We feel like, I don't know how to explain this, I feel like I'm talking too much. Like, I don't want to use the word soulmates because I don't really know if humans have a soul. That's a whole other discussion. But if there was such a thing, he'd be mine, and there'd be no reason to make it legal, or to make it a marriage in God's eyes, or to make it a marriage for societal standards. So we're not in a rush to get married. If we do get married, we get married, and if we don't, we don't. But he's not going anywhere, neither am I. So that's that, I guess. Wow, and that was the last question. What a question to end it on. If I was confusing at all, I'm sorry. I am sleepy, and talking about my fiance makes me blush. Fortunately, I am wearing makeup, so you can't see that. There was one more question that I saved for the end, and I forgot as I was like filming to add it. But someone asked about a particular individual in the pet community who I will not name, and I want to address why I won't talk about that person or the pet community in general. And I have 3 reasons. So the first reason is I do not want to monetarily profit off of someone else's hard time or someone else's name. I think that that is shallow. I think it is cruel. I would never ever use like a clickbaity title to draw someone in about like a certain person or certain events happening in the community. I would not put a bunch of ads on that video. I just think that, you know, someone's hard time should not be profited off of, and I won't do that. Secondly, that's pretty much why this title has nothing to do with answering questions about the pet community, when I easily could be like, answering your questions, feelings about the pet community. No, I'm not going to do that, and I don't stand for that. Even though I easily could have and got more clicks and more money. I know that's the game of YouTube, but I'm not doing it. I refuse. Second reason that I won't talk about it publicly is because I talk about it privately. Any feelings that I've had that I've wanted to vent about, I've learned my lesson, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I talk about it privately with other pet YouTubers and other people on Instagram. I find that there are a lot of people who feel similar to how I do, and they are afraid to speak publicly about anything for fear of being raked over the coals, which is my third reason why I don't talk about it publicly. I learned my lesson the first time. I knew what it would cost if I talked about certain things publicly. And I still chose to do it, knowing what it would cost, and I don't regret my decision. Don't be confused. I do not regret doing it the first time. But I knew what it would cost, and it still sucked, and it sucked hard, and I will not do it again. Because it was just people that you think that you like, people that you look up to in the community, people that you are interested in being friends with in the community. It sucked to disappoint. It sucked to get hated on the internet. And it sucked to be seen as a bully or a drama starter or whatever. So I'm not doing that again. And this will be the only time that I address that on this channel. I will not talk about the community. I will not talk about other YouTubers, even if it seems like it's okay to talk about one person because other friends and followers do not harass you for it. I won't talk about anyone. It'll be an equal playing field. So even if I could get away with talking about one person, I will not do that. So not happening. Just wanted to address that question because I did not want to leave the individual who asked this question feeling like I didn't care about their question. I appreciate that you left the question. If you want to DM me, we can talk about it privately, but I'm not talking about it publicly. It's not happening. If you made it all the way to this point, comment. What should you comment? Oh, please comment your best spelling of Schmed, Schmai, Schmackameil, Schmink. Yeah, that'd be a fun one to see in the comments. I will literally die laughing at some of the spellings. I know how I would spell it, but I want to see how you'd spell it. So, like usual, like, subscribe, comment, check the links below. Merch, hey, helps me out, so if you do, thank you. Oh, that's Finnegan. I'm going to go record another video, I think. Maybe watch a football game and eat some snacks. I would love to take a nap, but it's not that time yet. I'll see you guys in the next one. It will probably not be a Q&A or a really talky video, so if this wasn't your thing, I'm sorry, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye!